EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
The strength of union expressed during EDDIE-FICATION are not necessarily a reflection or representation of sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all. Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
Self-isolation is not a prison sentence, but it's the safest way to protect the people around you from possibly getting sick. Continue to comfortably buy your groceries and whatever you need, even when in quarantine. Use Coop Bank's e-banking to transfer funds to a close friend or family member's account and get them to do your shopping for you. Log on to www.grenadacoopbank.com and sign up for Coop Bank's e-banking.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Co-op Bank introduces e-payments, our new e-banking feature that allows you to send money to friends or family. E-payments, a swift, simple, and secure way of transferring money.
Welcome home. Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we get, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Tillian Group, underwriters of insurance for protection, investment, live, will financially
Offer wonderful opportunity to win a grocery coupon to the tune of EC $250, redeemable at any of the food fairs. All you've got to do to qualify is like, share, comment, and follow EDDIE-FICATION on any of our social media platforms. This promotion continues for all of May with one draw on Tuesday, May 31st. The winner will be announced immediately after advising the said winner. Any overseas winner is asked to kindly transfer their winning to a relative or friend who lives in the state of Grenada. I am extending an open invitation to any individual or company tuned in to come on board and assist with our drive to whip up an interest in getting more of our young people to pull up their chair and pay attention to the instructive thoughts and ideas shared on this program as we seek to edify them to make better decisions that would help to shape a better future for themselves and the future of the nation as a whole. Me bringing excitement to us with a chance to win something that can brighten their corner in these challenging times. Reach out and touch someone as regularly as you can afford. Of course, due recognition will be given to you for your active partnership in this regard. Thanks in advance.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Good. Well, folks, I want to wish you a wonderful evening. I'm really, really happy to be here with you again. So welcome to my 75th Independent Live session and my 21st for 2022, as we continue to consistently send positive vibes into the universe in preparation for all the positives that we crave in spite of our many challenges. and God knows we have a lot, but they too shall pass. As I've told you all too often, change is coming. Get ready to be a part of the movement going forward to such stabilize, build. The universe responds to your frequency. It does not recognize your personal desires, wants, or needs. It only understands the frequency in which you are vibrating at. For example, if you are vibrating in the frequency of fear, guilt, or even shame, you are going to attract things of a similar vibration. If you're vibrating in the frequency of love, joy, change, abundance, you are going to attract things that support that frequency. It's kind of like tuning into a radio station. You have to be tuning into it and into the music that you want to listen to, just like you have to be tuned into the energy you want to actually manifest within yourself. So, change your mindset. And of course, the abundance that you crave will be yours. Stop focusing on the lack that you've got accustomed to since 1995 and have started to believe that that is your lot in life. Your lot in life is to prosper and build on your parents' generation. Your lot is to grow through life. Just a short reminder here, you are now able to tune in to both Facebook and of course YouTube Live, where you can follow, comment, like, share, and even subscribe. Spread the word, folks, spread the word. Remember to share, 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 and share some more. A big thank you to all of you for tuning in once more. Welcome to the newcomers of Edification, our 116th edition, powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank, Antillean Group, and Country Cold Store. All local giants in their own right, each of which started with humility as a dot and are today enjoying a great measure of exaltation by God's grace. Our topic today, very interesting. I am not responsible for how you interpret what I say. You're on your own, for we cannot force someone to hear a message they are not ready to receive. Therefore, it is very instructive that we must never underestimate the power of planting a seed. I have been doing this for all of 36 years now, and can tell you that the number of converts over the years are innumerable. But then again, that's the benefit of consistency. I have never mixed words about my disgust for nonsense and even nastiness, whether emanating from things or embodied by anyone. We have been making all sorts of mouth and confusion over what people say, what they don't say, what they should say, and what you would like them to say. It all has to do with our freedom to interpret. When we are limited in our outlook on life, we will bring that abject limitation to every interaction, personal, social, intellectual, emotional, physical, spiritual, and so on. This is precisely why I encourage people to broaden their scope and keep an open mind always in every situation and circumstance. You know, Thomas Dewar, Baron and Lord, founder of Dewar's Scotch whiskey, was so correct when he uttered the famous words, "A mind is like a parachute, best used when open." I come to the table with an open mind always. And as a result, I have mastered the art of reading and scrolling. I can hear and ignore. In fact, I always find that listening helps to keep the treasure trove of information and the data that I am known for full and thus complements my power of recall. I can revisit my arsenal and pull out things that I had stored years there. Good, as and when the relevant occasions present themselves. That is to know much. But if I refuse to maintain an open mind, it would be to my chagrin. There are many things I see on social media, folks, that I do not necessarily agree with. But guess what? I move on. I keep scrolling. I do not feel the need nor the urge to respond in a way to challenge anyone's opinion or deep-rooted belief. No one can tell me, no one at all, no one, absolutely no one can tell me how, what, when, and who to believe or believe in. I am on my own, and so too are you in that department. I have loads of social media contacts. You notice I did not loosely call them friends. Contacts who are of differing views to those that I hold on a number of subjects. Regardless of their limitations on the areas I may induce such disagreements, I proceed to entertain them as contacts. Never a day was I ever tempted to unblock them from expressing their opinions. If you claim to have an expanse of knowledge today, remain still limited by your knee-jerk reactions to get rid of a connection that may not be as developed in mind, intellect, reasoning, and what have you as you may be. Just the other day, I saw a very unfavorable comment, which I deemed an unwise display on Facebook by someone who works in the kitchen as a senior cook at a restaurant where many leading supporters of a certain political party would frequent. What did I do? I private messaged the person and engaged them reasonably, advising them to take the comment down, as if word reaches any of these several customers, the restaurant can lose business, since several of his regular customers may be afraid harm befalling them when they come there to eat, since their political views are not known to be converging with his. And their views are publicly known by all and sundry. What would happen to the business in return? I asked him. I say, especially as these people are more than regular customers. They virtually live there. So if business plummets because they're afraid to come, because of your pungent opposing views and your spirited, behavior on social media, it can affect your work. You'd never believe he was so grateful, as he never looked at the broader picture, but got caught up in the spiritedness of the moment. Come on, that's what politics does. It captivates us. You could imagine how he thanked me for reaching out. I have not even spoken to the owner of that place and would not either. Of course, I had to point out to him by asking him if anybody else who supports the same party as him reached out to him to ask to study head. Of course, the answer is no. Now, this is precisely why I intimate to you always, folks, we have to become the change we want to see. You do not wish anyone to attack your opinions on social media. Don't post any attacks on people. And when you post, make sure you thought it through properly, or just plain expect a lesser aware person than you will respond, and not necessarily in a manner that you may like. So why do you feel the need to respond as kind of, in an uproar as you do from time to time? It is quite obvious that when you get sucked into the rabbit hole, you may have to plural an ego. If you really feel the need to respond, why can't you respond in the following way? Like an example. Thanks for your contribution. I still maintain my views on this issue. Remember, I can't tell you how to interpret what I write or say. Guess we both have a right to our thinking. And move on. Or you can simply say, only positive I do. Folks, remember to share. Share. Let me take a little break here. Remember, the program is cresting because there's a lot of epic stuff coming up that I'm sure you want to be a part of.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative, Bank Limited, Antillian Group, Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsor and affiliates of this program.
EDDIE-FIC has inspiration, motivation, and advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Lovely. Well, let me just say hello to quite a number of people here. We have Sam Antha, of course, Hendy. We have Elizabeth. We have Town Girl, Doris, Shireen. We have Evelyn, Ambika, Terry, Angel, I believe, A-N-G-E with hyphen on top of it, L-E, Angel, Debbie, we have Carmel, Avron, and of course my dear friend and brother, Alvis. Welcome, my friend, welcome. And of course on another medium here, we have John, Kim K, Cynthia, Carol, Patricia, Hillary, Vicky, Summer, Dread, Alan, Margaret, Kendra, Marissa, Bree, Allison. I want to say welcome to you folks. It's really lovely having you join me this evening. So folks, welcome back. Now, people on the other side of your thoughts and opinions generally, who may not necessarily be looking for confusion or to beat tebe with you, would be forced to get sucked into your positive environment as against you getting sucked into their negative bantering by taking the bait and blowing up. We have to learn to stay focused and maintain our own level in all we do. I have been seeing a lot of people taking the bait. I have been receiving a lot of WhatsApp messages or forwarded stuff from both sides of the divide. Yes, I have contacts on both sides of the divide. But I'm seeing some of the people who are supportive of the same entity that I may be supportive of, sending me things that they should not be sending me. And I wonder, why are they so naive? Why do they get caught up in the moment that they have to be helping promote things for the other side? Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder. Now, if we learn to temper ourselves, especially in this silly political campaign season, we would not be making bacchanal over politics and our varying views, which we all have a right to. I am known to have very strong political convictions and views from ever since. But so do many others among us. I have self-control and would respect the right of anyone to have, hold, and express their views also. Of course, when I see a mangled character, a do-good person, in other words, attempting to mangle another person who does not deserve such attack or attacks, I sometimes am hard-pressed to step in and, using some of the stuff I have in my arsenal, I invoke my power of recall to put them to rest. What's wrong with that? Because I take a broader view, folks, I sometimes help some people with diametrically opposing views to mine express them better by inboxing them with corrections, be they grammatical, factual, or just simple sentence structure. The thank yous I receive are tremendous, and I can feel the love and respect reverberating through the atmosphere, or the stratosphere in this case. Guess what? I still don't like their views and recognize they are coming from a place of lack of information and knowledge. For if people probably knew better, they would probably say and do better. But that's on them. Do you think for a man like me, with all my pungent views that I ventilate as a constant, I should make objection to anyone who may have and express views of a similar nature just because I disagree with them? Here's my simple response to that. Hell no. We all have rights, and as long as I do not violate yours, I shall proceed, and I expect the same in return. I believe that based on experience, many have realized that I can take care of myself as my personal storehouse of information, good and bad, of a myriad of subjects and people in our local community has never failed me. Why is this so? Folks, very simply, I have been socialized to pay attention and never stopped up to this day. I am therefore blessed with the memory of an elephant. Even though I am not in social circulation by choice, I keep my awareness level top and can always defend myself using the faculties with which our Creator has blessed me bountifully. Folks, this is no joke, you know. I have been blessed with information that has transformed into my personal knowledge, because the information I have has been corroborated, verified, and I now know what I know. Now, based on my glaring scenarios shared on Edification 115, that's last edition, that is, I received a very respectful feedback from a gentleman. He made what I believe he must have considered to be very valid points, from his point of view, of course. And even if I respectfully disagree with many of them, especially his overall conclusion, my response to him was simply, "Thank you for your message. Noted. Stay safe and well. Peace." I gave him the respect he gave me, as his text, his private text, though disagreeing, was no way disrespectful. His response in return to my response was most welcome. Hello? I would have you know that it is this exchange that influenced the subject matter here today. I am not responsible for how anyone interprets what I say. Again, I want to thank him for his feedback. He knows who he is. He knows who I am. I know who he is. I know who I am. You see, no one has to be bludgeoned as a result of feedback from his or her stated opinion or sharing of his or her truth just because there is a disagreement. We each could be set in our ways, and therein lies reason for us to listen to each other and move on. Remember, we are usually set in our ways based on the level of exposure we may have had to the issue or issues at hand. Who feels it knows it, folks? So it is highly instructive to note that none of us is responsible for how anyone interprets what we may tell them or what they may hear us say, whether directly or otherwise. They are entirely on their own. Let's take another break before we come back with a step higher.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative, Bank Limited, Antillian Group, Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
EDDIE-FICATION with
Wonderful, wonderful, folks. So let me welcome you back. And of course, we have some new folks in the room. We have Fitzroy out of Boston. I don't know if he's here in Grenada presently. Nat Lessie, we have you. Oh, it's so lovely to have you. Good night to you too. Who do we have? Wendy Ann, Angela, Elon, welcome. Mary, Sean, folks, you know, the silly season is really acting up, and we are seeing lots of nastiness floating around. My advice to end the nastiness, my aim is to stay focused. If you were not worth the attack, it would not have been launched. It is because you are worth it. Nobody pelts after green fruits, you know. They stone ripe fruits. It is because these fruits are mature, hey, likely to be tasty, they come after the fruits. So get yourself, stay focused, folks. Stay focused. This is your time. A lot of you are in God's waiting room. People want to dig you out of your quiet waiting room. If you are in God's waiting room, it therefore means He is asking you to hold on so He can lift you higher. It's your turn to wait. Your turn to be lifted is here. Don't let anybody pull you out of the waiting room. Don't let anybody, manipulate you by their desperation. Only desperate people behave in that fashion. Folks, stay focused. Look at how many people have come after me over the years, and I continue to climb. You know, many people dug holes for me to bury me, but they didn't realize they were planting me, and planting me very strongly at that. Folks, when people throw bricks at you, collect them. and help build a strong foundation with whatever construction you're going to be doing for your future. If people want to stop their life to focus on yours, let them be your guest, but continue to move on your life's journey. Very soon you'll become a dot in the distance because you kept moving while their life would have been at a standstill, focused on us. But a lot of us are imbued with ego. Folks, ego is an enemy. Ego is shrouded in false pride. Somebody say boo, you feel you have to say ba. Take it light. Cool it. Consistency helps to convert people. What did I tell you over the years? 36 years I'm on radio, I'm doing this. Consistency wins converts. And as Angela is saying, if you were not worthy of the attacks, you wouldn't be attacked. Stay focused. But then again, she's quoting me. Sorry, Angela, dear. But the message is clear, folks. Some of you too antsy. You worried about what people go think. People have a right to think. People can only think based on their level. And what people think of you is not your business. Remember what I told you, character is who you are. Reputation is what people think of you. When you take care of your character, your reputation will take care of itself. Those are strong words, folks. Get in the habit of having a larger vision of yourself. And stop waiting for people to vocalize the vision they have of you. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Eleanor Roosevelt, who said that years ago. Stop standing up and becoming a statue to a critic. Use the criticisms to build on. It is because you're worthy they come after you. It is because you are imbued with a contrite heart they come after you. But who are coming after you? Mud pigs. People who are lonely in the mud, looking for company, because you know what they say, misery loves company. Could you imagine these mangled characters attacking people? Mangled characters? People that have no character. People that are instead are characters. Attack people who are trying to make something of themselves. But folks, last weekend's two major political rallies went off without a hitch, or so it appeared. One was glitzy as ever, while the other, though less glitzy, reflected enough to get their sound messages across. Take susu in your, according to my girlfriend Arona, take susu in your Craig, in your perfume, in your funkwe, was the major take home for the weekend. As no one thought the young, bright, promising, and focused leader of the main opposition NBC had it in. I hasten at this point, folks, to remind anyone tuned in, whether live or after the fact, I am not responsible for how you interpret anything I am about to say. You are entirely on your own. Be guided by that, please. I say what I say, and I leave it there. The incumbent New National Party, NNP, led by the almost 80-year-old Keith Mitchell, provided visual avenue for singing, prancing, old talk, flavored with some mudslinging against opponents, and the usual twisting of the truth by the leader himself. This justifies any conclusion by sensible people that the NNP's gatherings are all about hype in the total absence of substance, with no new plans on offer to rescue Grenadians from slipping further into poverty, depravity, and lack. All these negatives in a glitzy atmosphere, with a drone shot of the grounds at the Grand Dance location showing up the extent of the rally's attendance. Not much can be said further, folks, except that the leader of the NNP was true to form, with a look before and after his poor, visionless delivery, calculated to be pre-dejection, as if he knows his fate. Several onlookers who were switching between meetings on the respective lives made the observation, including people who are known to vote for the NNP in the past, who are not inclined to do so this time around. Interestingly, I am told word of the massive crowd at NDC's River Sally Sunday meeting was met with total consternation, surprise, shock. The response was something like this. I'm paraphrasing it, folks. And remember, I'm not responsible for how you interpret what I say. I am paraphrasing. Where they getting that money from, boy? We have to try to find out, boy. I'm sure that man and those people must be funding Deacon, you know. I hear he get a lash of money, you know. Anyhow, we have to have an emergency executive meeting because I find all you slacking. Paraphrased. From the time I heard that, they insinuated that maybe his party's candidate alone may end up on the ticket of the South. I knew he entered his usual place of political residence, the gutter. I just knew it. I predicted that it could not end well for him. So said, so done. And I am told this is just the beginning. I guess if he wants to bamba and rub shoulders with the big boys, he has to be prepared for what goes on in that atmosphere. Again, I reiterate, this cannot end well for the leader, for the almost 80-year-old leader. Andy Williams, the NDC's candidate for the South, has personally ventilated everything that needs to be known of him and his past transgressions to the selection committee of the NDC, and his contrite delivery attracted genuine forgiveness. I am told by people who work with him or are otherwise close to him that he never hides his past and that he uses it, he shares in a way to advise others not to go down that road. After all, anyone can see this is a young man who has moved on and is always willing to speak of his past transgression in a manner to advise anyone upcoming to not use that avenue to success. But he's forgiven and loved genuinely by all who encountered him. I remember, just a little segue here. When Patrick Manning, God rest his soul, was alive and was running in the election in Trinidad, the election that came immediately after the one where there was an 18-18 tie. And as a last-ditch effort, the opposition said they dug up some information on him where he had a child out of wedlock in some part of the United States, Miami, wherever, I don't know, can't remember. And you know what was the response in Trinidad? His party won overwhelmingly because the Trinidadians knew that Patrick Manning was a Seventh-day Adventist or some Christian of sorts, and that did not really befit his character. And being a churchman, they never looked at him in that light. So when that came out, it backfired on the opposition, the Pandey-led opposition, because the Trinidadians started saying, hey, he normal. We didn't realize he's so normal. And that won for him support. I can bet my bottom dollar right now that Andy Williams is probably the most popular candidate on the ballot. And we will see. Once the election is free and fair, we will see. But there's a movement, a spiritual movement, and a spiritual air over Grenada. No tiefin could succeed in this 2022 general election. None. The overwhelming vibration, the overwhelming frequency that we can tap into, no matter where you go, is for change. And not small change, Big change is coming, folks. Folks, recently, I have been somewhat privy to one of the illiterate elites talking about dubious characters on the NDC ticket in a manner that clearly shows that particular illiterate elite shows him up as wanting his side alone to have the monopoly on dubious characters, because they have a lot across there. The same or similar level of dishonesty that Andy may have committed in his past and was forgiven for is the same thing that the leader was forgiven for by men of integrity back in the 70s when he worked with the Grenada shipping agents, folks. Andy has shown contrition. While, listen to this word now, this nastiness up to this day has never shown. Not even an ounce of remorse. And has never shown that he has in his DNA any forgiveness for anyone either. Could you imagine that? That is why I tell you spiritually, folks. The war we are fighting today is a spiritual one. It's about demons. It's about, principalities and powers. And God always wins that particular war. No wonder the masses, to a great extent, have absolutely no respect for the views of the illiterate elites in this country. A lot of these illiterate elites, the movement, were vehemently opposed to Biography in the 70s and were taken and made puppy show with and fools of, to the point where they absorbed all the propaganda about Biography that were ventilated in the open. never stopping to think whether they were true or not. They got absorbed by the anti-Gary movement, excuse me, only to be punished by the revolution immediately after its success. Today, some of their children are following their ignorant footsteps, making the same mistakes to follow a man with the most serious character flaws, which can't end well for them. And that is why their word must count for nothing, as anyone can see where their shallowness is going to take them. Very few have learned a lesson. Several of them can be seen around the precincts of the visionless NNP, relegating themselves to be truly the greedy and the vultures in our society. One does not have to go too far, to see that if dubious was an organization, the NNP would have been so named. In the same way, they love to support the dubious characters that they do. It's the same way they insist on calling out others whom they brand dubious somewhere else, as if they have a monopoly on being dubious and feel threatened by others. I am heartened to see the needy, greedy, and vultures are coming open to demand for the architect of the disaster Grenada has become under the hands of their leader from 1995 to the present. My question is, if this inferior lot were really doing such a great job and have a positive trail to show the way of meaningful progress over years, especially from 2013 to the present, why the need to descend in the gutter to seek to personally destroy opponents with lies and slander? According to many, distasteful and disgusting, and they should be dispatched. Grenadians, especially our youth, your value system is under review during this election campaign period. Don't mix up thieving with blood. Don't mix up being a con man and a con woman with being smart. Don't mix up narcissism with being smart. Don't mix up selfish with being smart. Don't mix up Napoleonic with being smart. Don't mix up being a reprobate with being smart. Don't mix up common nastiness with being smart. Don't mix up having factory faults and serious character flaws with being smart. I am so heartened to see the distasteful clip that was circulating from NNP's last meeting in Grandance, when it was suggested that their candidate from the South might very well be the only one on the ticket come nomination day, and the manner in which it was put forward by the man who has presided over Grenada's total pauperization and gutterization since 1995. It reminded me of the Grenadians, who, you remember the time Eric Gary, for instance, called out his henchmen and secret police to his official residence on January 21st, 1974. Those of you old enough, you should remember that. And at that session, he was reported to have told them, words to the effect, I did not tell you to loot everybody's. He got the exact response from them that he expected. And as they left Mount Royal on Monday, January 21st, 1974, chanting, "You will behave yourself, they charge us for murder," they proceeded to break everybody's supermarket in downtown St. George's, an act which spread very fast, affecting all other stores that heeded the call of the organized opposition to strike in an attempt to prevent the island from gaining independence on 7th February 1974. Was the NNP's leader the inference there that their candidate will be the only one, or may be the only one, could very well be the only one on nomination day and may very well win by default? Could that have been an attempt at eliciting similar upheaval in Grenada should Andy Williams be prevented from being an NDC candidate come nomination day? Come on. Come on, folks. Come on, folks. I agree with the following warning recently circulated on WhatsApp. Quote, "Grenadians, please don't forget the history of NNP and threats to locking up opposition candidates just before general elections. The outgoing MP for the town of St. George is now with NNP, but when he was a candidate for the NDC, the same Keith Mitchell and Special Prosecutor, the Jamaican Hugh Wildman, were threatening to lock him up on the eve of the election of 2003 to prevent him from running against their candidate in the town of St. George. The NDC had to put a long-standing party member on standby as the backup candidate on nomination day in case the substantive candidate was arrested. It is the same Keith Mitchell playbook being used now against Andy Hotspot Williams in the South. Keith Mitchell might be trying to set the stage for social unrest and violence in the country. Is it their plan to hold elections under a state of emergency to try to get back into office? If Andy is arrested, then Keith Mitchell should be held responsible for any unwelcomed development in the country based on his own utterances Sunday at Montrouge, when he hinted at the possible arrest at Hotspot. There's a social revolution taking place in the country to capsize Mitchell from power. Keith Mitchell, please be careful, unquote. But I endorse this message completely and thank the originator of it for being so clairvoyant as to reflect on our recent history for the benefit of all our young people who are today paying attention and taking note. Information which can be considered well-pressed tobacco have been circulating among chosen quarters that the incumbent is very antsy with the results of their internal polls, showing them as not doing well at all. I don't know that for a fact. I heard it from a well-placed source. This has been interesting among them, as seen on face while they sit on the platform awaiting their turn to either whine, dance, or prance, talk nonsense, and call short-leg Black Storm. And of course, the nation's biggest thief, referring to other people as thief. Desperation can be seen as the order of the day for the glitzy platformed party. Could you imagine a man whose resume and biography are superseded by a legacy of conmanship, absolutely no scholarship when he speaks, referring to a well-established legal luminary against whom no case could have been won as dunce. Today's public servants and past public servants are waiting in the slips to collect their promised pension, which will come as Deacon is not known to be a con. His word is his bond. Permanently temporary workers, to include nurses and teachers and others within the public service, are anxious to become regularized within the service and qualify for benefits at retirement. Imanis to be reclassified as receptionists in training under the Imani program. Barmen, waiters, waitresses in training under the Imani program, etc., etc. Instead of Imanis. Folks, is this way they will matriculate into permanent workers in their various fields instead of remaining stuck as Imanis for 9 and 11 years? I am not responsible for how any of you interpret anything I just said. Let's take a little break, come up for some air, and we'll come back and tie things up.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative, Bank Limited, Antillian Group, Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Good. You know, I really can't get over the two highlights. Take Susu in you, and the other one, dunce. Could you imagine that? Dunce. But does not realize the statement at which dunce was the last word clearly shows the intention of that man to not pay the pension. It is as clear as day that there is no intention to pay the pension. So the man who has the intention to pay the pension is dunce. And the man who has no intention of paying it is bright. Folks, you must agree, when people are applying for a job, it is instructive for them to present their resume. When they are paraded on a stage where the spotlight falls on them, they are introduced by a biography. We are seeing vain attempts to besmirch the character of this solid working class son of the soil, who is nothing but the new hero on our political scene that is God sent to rescue us from the gates of hell, as presided over by our personal devil since 1995. According to Hugo Chavez out of Venezuela, of Bush back then, you can smell the sulfur permeating the atmosphere here over Grenada, as it has more than enough time. This sulfur has had more than enough time to engulf the tri-island state. But here to sandwich the fresh, honest, trustworthy young man of sound character in the person of Deacon Mitchell. He's a proud graduate, I'm told, of the St. David's Roman Catholic Primary School, Presentation Brothers College, and T.A. Marichaud Community College. Young Mitchell, the only decent one on the ballot. I see that turning up many places on social media, and I like it. The only decent Mitchell on the ballot, thank God. Is a graduate of the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus in Barbados and the Hugh Wooding Law School in Trinidad and Tobago, where he earned a Bachelor of Laws degree with honors and a legal education certificate, respectively. Deacon was the recipient of several awards at Hugh Wooding Law School in recognition of his skill as an advocate. But most notably, the Principal's Award for Advocacy, 2001 to 2002, and the Robert Matthew Sellier Memorial Prize, 2002, for the best performance in trial advocacy. Greet with one has to be accorded, I would effortlessly have that person for supper. Deacon's legal career started as an associate attorney at law at the law firm of Grant, Joseph & Co. in the year 2002. But in March of 2006, he bought the practice of Grant, Joseph & Co. and remained one of the partners until December 2016, when he moved on to start his own practice, Mitchell & Co. He's a notary public for the state of Grenada and has been the honorary counsel for the Kingdom of the Netherlands in Grenada, something he had to give up because of his political, shenanigans now. He has held various directorships on statutory bodies and non-governmental organizations, including the Grenada Cooperative Nutmeg Association, GCNA, the New Life Organization, New Law. Deacon currently sits on the boards of New Law, the Jason Roberts Foundation, and the Grenada Coral Reef Foundation, Inc. He's come to many of the large businesses in the wholesale business arena, insurance, banking, education, tourism, and the hotel sector. Deacon has extensive experience in civil practice, project financing, both debt and equity. Hello, both debt and equity. That's why he can say with confidence he will pay the pension as the Prime Minister. Real property, mortgages and conveyances, corporate and commercial law, commercial advisory services, banking and finance, industrial relations, dispute settlement, which we know he's only too good at, collective bargaining negotiation processes, which we know he's only too good at, taxation matters, contract law, and general litigation. He has also conducted research for several publications of the World Bank and the International Finance Corporation. Deacon has a passion for educating young people and is an avid sports fan and music lover. Now that is the rich biographic sketch of a winner, not a loser or a dunce. No hanky-panky. His biography cannot be likened to that of a thief. So when contrived fake news is produced in an attempt to besmirch his character, the facts speak for themselves. Unfortunately, I am to make this little reference here. Deacon and this current dispensation, Deacon is not an Nazim Burke against whom mud was slung so thick that he could not be bothered to defend himself, and most of it stuck on the minds of the gullible in 2013 and beyond. This is not Nazim Burke, whose political journey ended prematurely on the altar of lies and fake news, aided and abetted by the inherently dishonest among us. This decent Mitchell, against whom never a legal action was won by the other rusty, tired, tested and proved wanting Mitchell, has character. while his adversary may be a flawed character. I believe it will be good for many young people who are today pulling up their chair and are paying attention this time around to hear how the biography of a thief sounds, considering that many of them would not have been privy to it years ago when it was first shared towards the end of the 90s. But folks, when you hear people have reached to the point of being interviewed and candidly swearing at the maximum leader of any country, it's time for that leader to pack and go. This tells us that people have had enough of his disrespect and lies. I want to remind you of something here, folks. I am not responsible for how any of you interpret anything that I have said. One last little break, and then we move on.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development traditional EDDIE-FICATION is powered by Grenada Co-operative and Group Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Lovely.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human.
Oh, that's enough. That's enough. Come on, take it light. We have a lot of turkeys here to fry and we have to go. So folks, as I take my leave again, I am very aware that insecure people, mangled characters, whose nests, you know, the nest mash up, big gunpowder has been, pumped and sprayed into the nest. The foundation of the insecure is shifting or has shifted. They are expected to use insults when they cannot make civilized arguments based on facts. And I'm warning them, I am even more so prepared for that than any other time in my life. All I say to such elements, when you come in, come good. The dollars don't make noise, the change does. Illustration of this, the insecure coming with insults and cantankerism and mud. Folks, what is that tantamount to? Desperation. You're falling behind and you're trying to see how you could grab at whatever you could grab at to hold up yourself. Andy, you're the boss. You are a contrite spirit. All these are coming to test you, to see how genuine you are at contrition. Stay the course, my brother. Stay the course. You know, the fake and contrived Henley and Partners video alluding to Deacon wanting to sell Grenada if he gets into office as Prime Minister has actually been responded to, I see, by a myriad of things. Some personally by people, others from sympathizers of the NDC. In essence, what else is there to be sold in Grenada after the last 27 years or so of Grenada being sold to international cons and disreputable characters of parallel and equal match to the local con man? You Grenadians have been so careless to have around the precincts of power for so long. The video parallels that I leave you to see for yourselves. You have to go and look for them yourself, as they are really revealing and raw in their content, reflective of the common nastiness Grenada has been administered by over the years. I am ending now by telling you, as I started, change is coming. Get ready to be part of the movement going forward to salvage, stabilize, and build Grenada. Remember, while you're at that, be the change you want to see. Because change is not going to come and your attitude and behavior remain the same as the last 27 years. Because you will not be able to benefit from the change if you go to the changed atmosphere with the same attitude. Remember what they say? You cannot put new wine into old wineskins. Hello? I'm in, I'm out, I'm gone. See you next week, God willing. We're going to have something before next week anyway. Take election seriously. I didn't do any earlier on this week. I had a busy schedule. But you're going to get one probably over the weekend. Until next Thursday, I beg you to stay safe, stay well, and remain forever lifted. Okay, folks?
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
Living with the pandemic hasn't been easy, but that does not mean that life has to fall apart. Work, play, and take care of your finances from home. Connect with friends on social media. Host Zoom meetings with colleagues and use Co-op Bank's e-banking to pay your bills and manage your funds. Log on to www.grenadacoopbank.com and sign up for Co-op Bank's e-banking.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store.
The Cold Store, putting the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Co-op Bank introduces e-payments, our new e-banking feature that allows you to send money to friends or family. E-payments, a swift, simple, and secure way of transferring money.
Welcome home. Believe in our strength. We'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we get. It's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Tillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
You are offered a wonderful opportunity to win a grocery coupon to the tune of EC $250, redeemable at any of the food fairs. All you've got to do to qualify is like, share, comment, and education on any of our social media platforms. This promotion continues, all of it, with one draw on Tuesday, May 31st. The winner will be announced immediately after advising the said winner. Any overseas winner is asked to kindly transfer their winning to a relative or friend who lives in the state of Grenada. I am extending an open invitation to any individual or company tuned in to come on board and assist with live interest in getting more of our young people to pull up a chair and pay attention to the instructive thoughts and ideas shared on this program as we seek to edify them to make better decisions that would help to shape a better future for themselves and the future security of the nation as a whole. Join me in bringing excitement to our audience with a chance to win something that can brighten their corner in these challenging times. Reach out and touch someone as regularly as you can afford. Of course, due recognition will be given to you for your active partnership in this regard. Thanks in advance.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick.